crippled people in flames might go together. I don't. Sorry, it's a really bad joke. I've written a bunch of stuff, and Jonathan is so gracious to give me a chance to share some of it with you. So my first book came out 4 years ago. It's called The Virgin Journals, and the theme of tonight is travel writing. So I've got a couple of really short poems to get things started about a couple of my trips to other big bodies of water. These are Oceans Writing 1 and 2 from the Virgin Journals. The next wave is your horizon. The world is going to end. Like a shot from a pitching wedge, your eyes begin to spin. Mind is weak, never tested. You're going to give in. Put the barrel to your temple. Make peace before you die. Wait! The wave is crested. See the clear blue sky? Rocky seas make for a much more exciting trip. Actually got sick less when the seas were rocky. Something about that calm ocean. Fog lingering around the boat allows the mind to wander. Similar to the effect of a slow, sad song on booze-saturated eyes. Lazy movements that will cross and spiral and swirl, making the room turn sideways. Instant queasy. A live bucking bronco sitting underneath the hull keeps the mind engaged. Fast-paced action, focused, feeling a skirt or a shirt with the rhythm of the beat. Come on, dive right in. All right. So, I've got some pages over by Lynn that are all prepared, and I think only one person in the crowd has a book in their hands, so for her, she might want to read along with the home game. I'll let you guys know the pages as I go along. I'm going to read a couple of sections, and I think all you need to know about the first section is that Garrett and Tammy are two of the four main characters, married couple from LA, trying to reconnect with an out-of-town vacation in New Mexico, and Jose is Tammy's chihuahua. Page 16. Garrett and Tammy have the rear end of their SUV open, are enjoying an afternoon snack comprised of jerky, trail mix, and natural sodas when they hear engines off in the distance. Well, it was a fun illusion while it lasted, Tammy mentions, referring to the idea that it would be up to them to repopulate a newly barren earth. Their day of lovemaking, swimming, and treating Jose like a child reminded each of them what it felt like to be in love again. The movie-style romance of feasting and fucking, not the real-world love that takes effort from both parties between jobs and personal catastrophes presented by life. Life had taken a backseat on this fine day. Jose, for his part, did not care about the distant rumble of thunder. He had felt those vibrations for hours beneath his sensitive paws, but now he noticed the humans' attitudes were changing to the more serious again. So he let out a ferocious as bark as possible in hopes of snapping away the reality from a situation he would rather have stayed perfectly blissful. Reality days did not include the multiple snacks, undivided attention, and fantastical creatures. Stay away, reality. Yap, yap, yap. Garrett and Tammy would make anybody laugh in disbelief at their high desert costumes. It's 80 degrees and he is wearing sandals, khaki slacks, and a light designer undershirt, while she wears a short cocktail dress, sparkling iridescent in the day's sun, her hair unkempt after allowing it to naturally dry when she left the water. Let's pack up and head back to camp, Garrett suggests lovingly and kisses Tammy on the forehead. She hops down from the tailgate and he closes things up while she straps her shoes in their intricate manner. I don't know why you insist on wearing those silly things. Because you like them, and today I like you liking me, Tammy replies with a blush. She has not felt this schoolgirl rush of unabashed intimacy in quite some time, and it is invigorating to her. One of her anxieties had recently been that Garrett was growing tired of physically being with her, but that has certainly not been the case today. Oh, how she wishes the positive moments such as this will stay with her even as they make their way home tomorrow. Marriage was the right decision, Dr. Johnson assured them. You guys have been together 6 years and have never questioned your individual loves for each other, so stop questioning your partner's love for you. He was desperate to keep this couple moving in a positive direction. I'm not treating either of you individually because this is an issue that can only be worked through together. You each have to hear the good and the bad from your partner, not a third party. I am facilitating a healthy and safe environment to do that and keep things moving in a constructive fashion. Thankfully, neither of the two clients had bothered to ask Dr. Johnson's own sketchy history with marriage. That always tends to muddle some of his credibility, having been divorced twice. Had either of them bothered to ask and proceeded to comment on that particular fact, his answer would have been, sometimes the issues are just too big to overcome. Driving an SUV over rutted backcountry sand roads is not the smoothest of rides. Faster means the bumps are fewer and further between, but much bigger when finally encountered. Slower means every contour is felt and progress feels mired in La Brea-esque tar pits, inching ever so slowly toward never to be seen again. Garrett gives Tammy every bit of power in choosing how he drives on the way back, and her squeals demand faster. He stomps the foot pedal again, hitting every bridge with enough force that their front tires leave the ground, faux flying for a split second before crashing back down and hearing her scream with delight. Here comes a big turn, hang on, he warns her as they near a 90-degree hairpin. Traveling at a cool 35 miles per hour, he reaches for her left hand with his right, spinning the wheel with his left, feeling the back end slide around to keep up. A steep incline meets them, and as they near the summit, 4 motorbikes come flying over the hill. They're staggered through the air, and the third from left comes down on the SUV's tailgate with a noticeable crunch. Garrett slams on the brakes. His vehicle comes to a stop, its front wheels hanging off the back edge of an incline, over a 3-foot drop. It's entirely possible that without the interjection of this accident, they would have gone end over end. So I'm going to pause for a moment in the reading now and thank Jonathan and Russ and all of the readers tonight. This has been awesome. I'm from Spokane. I see readings many, many times a month. And for you guys to have such a family here in the NMU department, Northern Michigan is lucky to have it. And I'm grateful to be a part of it. So thanks to that. And the reason that I called Russ out specifically is Russ was my content editor on Joyride. I was a first-time novelist, and Jonathan said, I've got a guy who reads some stuff for me, maybe he'd help you out. And Russ and I visited over a few months, and he really helped me fine-tune this thing, so thanks a bunch.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. We're going to fast forward now, much later in the book, to the other set of main characters, Eloise, single mom, and her boy Harker, 18-year-old senior in high school. They were from New Mexico after an accident, and I imagine you know the other two characters who I just read about, who probably caused that accident. They decide to get the hell out of Dodge. They're on their way to the California coast, and they found a beautiful hitchhiker in Reno, 20-year-old woman named Nancy, who the 18-year-old has some eyes for. So this is page 67 as they're on their road to California. Since you're awake now, I'm expecting you to be in charge of where you want us to end up. Which direction? Eloise is giving her son the freest opportunity at navigating them toward their landing spot as possible. This adventure would be pointless if he ended up despising her decision. West? Harker knows that there is gravity behind his wishes. It's a wonderful feeling for an 18-year-old boy. His mom has every right to point the car where she knows, but she is relying on him, trusting him. Let's just stay on this road until we hit the ocean. He rolls the window down and the cool night air rushes in. After the excitement at the gas station and subsequently being granted course charting duties, sleep is no longer an option. Somewhere in front of them, he can feel the pull of where he wants to live more than ever. Interstate 80, which we heard about earlier, continues on. Friday night traffic outside Sacramento diminishes, but picks up at every major community. Davis, Vacaville, Fairfield, and stays consistent busy after reaching Vallejo. There are some hills to navigate, but every now and then Harker is able to see a lit cityscape in the distance. His adrenaline begins to surge again as he realizes that it is San Francisco peeking at him. Wow! Harker is a bit loud and Nancy grumbles, fully awake after her nearly 3-hour nap. It's brilliant. Middle of the night traffic makes his feeling even more surreal. With horns and veering vehicles, life and the underlying promise of instant gratification at every freeway merge of the city streets they're driving by. He thinks of the dry air he left behind without any feelings of remorse. This is endless. This is new. Both of the women he is traveling with maintain a more practical outlook on the scenario. Sounding a little like birds in agreement, we aren't going to be able to find a place to live tonight. In response to Harker's pointing out apartment for rent buildings along the freeway. And I think finding a place to sleep before searching tomorrow would be best. He cannot help but think how wonderful it is that somewhere out there is where they're going to end up. I know, it's just that this is so cool. Can we at least drive into the city? Harker needs to feel the thrum of activity pressing around him. After 18 years of being raised in the desert and hours of driving across nothing, how quickly the young mind forgets how only 200 miles back he was surprised with finding a traveling souvenir companion who apparently counts as nothing now. He is ready for this exciting step. Freeway signs direct them toward Berkeley and over the Bay Bridge. Lights from Oakland on the east side and San Francisco on the west side flicker off the largest body of water Nancy and Harker have ever seen. An island breaks their view of the choppy bay for a moment, redirecting their attention to the busy roads. They are both slack-jawed and excited by the massive amounts of humanity moving about at this late hour. Criminals, movie stars, everyday Joe Blows, they are surrounded by walks of all life without being on actual land. Incredible. Once they are off the bridge, Eloise makes an executive decision to drive along the waterfront, the only area of the city she has ever visited. Things are pretty well dark, having shut down in favor of the nightlife in the Castro and Sunset districts, but all three of them recognize the unusual sight of a sea lion flopping across an empty parking lot as they pass the famed Pier 39 archway. There are exclamations of appreciation from everyone in the car. The Golden Gate Bridge lords over the view in front of them. Want to drive over it? Both of their younger riders jump at the opportunity. A sign reads, "North to Sausalito, Marin County, Redwoods." Here we go. And Eloise drives slowly so that Harker can truly appreciate the immensity of what his decision has led to. She is not immune to the rush of feeling awed by everything that is going on around them, but she does know that they are in a much different area than the safety of small town America. Nancy watches mother and son from the back seat, framed through the windshield by steel that has seen so many people move through in either direction, it no longer knows where life is better. It's 3 a.m. and a 3-digit credit card charge before the trio finally climb out of the car. A divish motel somewhere north of San Francisco proper with a checkout time of 10:30 a.m. had their vacancy sign lit, which was all that mattered. Who's sharing beds? Nancy jumps right back into her entertaining shtick, and Eloise chuckles her off with the refute of a rollaway. Real-life decisions have to be made tomorrow. Now, it's time for a few hours of rest. Thank you, guys.
I know Travis has copies of both Joyride and Virgin Journals for sale. We have the room for the evening, so if you want to stay around and socialize a bit, it's all ours.
Yay!